Buckle up! It's your lovely host, Mary Kate Beck, and I am so excited for episode 41 of Travel Disasters. It's Monday, March 23rd, and it's officially springtime in Chicago, and the city is alive. I just want to say thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If it's your first time, welcome, and if you're already listening, welcome back. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening and throw me 5 beautiful stars on Apple Podcasts. Don't forget, if you have a story of your own, send it to traveldisasterspodcast@gmail.com. I can't wait to read it on the air. Also, follow us on social media so you can see pictures of all of our guests and hear clips from other episodes. I'm so ready for today's guest. She started as my workout buddy and recently started in stand-up comedy. So we went from gym life to open mics. Ladies and gentlemen, the always lovely and hilarious Nikki DelZenero is in the studio today. She always wanted to travel to Europe and decided to book a trip to Italy. She went with a group but knew no one. Crazy, right? Nikki takes us through her Lizzie McGuire-esque trip to the most romantic place on earth. But it's not all pizza, roses, and Vespas. Find out what could possibly go wrong. Lego. It's you and me, baby. We're going on the trip from hell, where every flight is missed. They lose your luggage, and you're in the middle seat between a sumo wrestler and a screaming baby. Don't worry, I'm coming along for the ride. I'm Mary Kate Beck, and this is Travel Disasters. Nikki Del.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm so good. As I was listening to that intro music, I was thinking about my trip to Arizona this past weekend.
Yeah, Phoenix, was it?
Yeah, or Scottsdale, technically.
Scottsdale, okay.
But it was super fun, but I was in the middle seat both ways.
Oh, no.
The whole time.
Was it like a Southwest late check-in ordeal?
So my
you gotta be on that
I
shit.
know. Well, the first flight got canceled, so I had to rebook for a different flight, so I got screwed.
Mm-hmm.
I was like
With like a low
B12
C.
on the first one.
Yeah.
And then I was like C56, which is like, they don't even
The bottom
count
of the
it.
barrel.
It's like C30 plus, and you're just in like that group of peasants.
It's just like, you suck.
Totally. So I was in the middle seat on the way there, which was empty. And then I realized after I got into it, it was like closer to the front. And I was like, score. There's overhead room.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the front of the plane. You can hop right off. And then there was like a troop of toddlers behind me.
Oh,
and
no.
I was like, oh, this is why this is empty.
Yep, definitely.
And then on the way home,
you gotta look around. You gotta scope it out.
No, well, I just get frazzled.
I
I'm
understand. It's a quick decision.
For sure.
But you have to do it
And
the
it's
best
like
you
either
can.
this or row 25. And I'm not.
And you don't know what's back there.
Right.
I understand.
Close to the bathroom, you can hear people pinching out loaves.
Doing
it's
all
disgusting.
kinds of things.
Yeah, it's so
Well,
gross.
that's a big bummer.
Yeah, but how are you? How's your week been going? You said you lost your voice this weekend.
Yeah, I was playing volleyball in Iowa. I did a grand tour of Iowa.
Sexy.
It was great. I drove to Des Moines. This is not the travel story, I'll tell you, but I drove to Des Moines to have dinner with a friend, and then my sister's a senior at Iowa, so I was in Iowa City to see her for a night. And then we started in Cedar Rapids and drove up like a bar crawl in a car. This is something
safe.
This is something that they do over there. Like they're just like open container.
Oh my gosh.
I don't care. Like and
Yeah.
I was like, well, you're driving me, so I'm gonna let you do you and just pay attention to how you're doing.
Right.
Like, but it was like an hour drive, stopping at some dive bars on the way up to Cedar Falls. And then played a two-day volleyball tournament.
Wow.
And I always lose my voice when I
and
play.
was that like with friends? Why are you?
Yeah, I
are
played.
you doing this?
I played volleyball in college.
Oh, cool.
And I have a friend who I actually played against, who lives in Iowa, and played against her a lot. And we just got to know each other through playing tournaments later. And she was like, there's this big Iowa tournament. There's tons of teams. Do you want to come play? And so I just decided to go for the weekend.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was
good
fun.
for you. You're a good friend, good sister.
Thank you. Just checking all the very athletic,
I
checking
know.
every box.
Yeah, you're like, now I don't have to talk to anyone for the next 2 months.
That's
'cause
right.
I put in my time.
Exactly.
And
Did what I needed to do.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, of course.
I feel like we have an interesting backstory because I know you through my cousin Stephanie / we would all go to the gym together and
Yep.
stuff like that. And then now you are dabbling in stand-up comedy.
I'm starting it. I think that I feel like I haven't yet hit double digits of open mics. Like I'm the freshest,
Yeah.
the worst,
You're
just the
doing
worst
great.
stage
Yeah.
that could be. But I'm doing my best. I'm
Yeah.
trying to learn and memorize and figure out what I'm doing. Taking a
Yeah.
class that starts next week.
Love it.
Just doing the thing.
I love it. Well, yeah, I feel like our relationship has gotten, has blossomed, if you will, since you started doing stand-up. We're going to mics together, and I asked you to do this. So I'm just forcing you to be my best friend now, whether you like it or not.
I'm down for it, honestly.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, before we dive in, I always like to do, the travel scale that everyone dreads, but it's basically to kind of gauge how often you travel. So I always like to use a comparison. So, on the end of the spectrum, someone that's pretty stationary, doesn't travel a lot, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, if you will. I mean,
she's not
old,
going anywhere.
She's decrepit. She'll outlive us all.
She's just going like to the gym to maintain her life a little bit.
Yeah.
And she's staying home. Like she's not getting on a plane.
Yeah. No, she can't. She would turn into dust if she got on.
That's exactly right.
It would be too high of altitude, like the fake oxygen would just like shatter her.
Yep.
So she can't travel. And the opposite end of the spectrum is like the always gorgeous Kim Kardashian West.
Jet setter.
Jet setter. Like, I think most of her children were conceived on a private jet.
I think that's probably
right. When is she not?
She's gone everywhere. She records it.
Yes.
She Instagrams it. It's
amazing. It's the best.
So am I saying a number or a person between those?
Like how people usually say numbers.
Okay, I would say I'm like a 6.5.
Okay.
I feel like my goal is to go somewhere every month.
Nice.
For like a long weekend or a small thing. I mean, Iowa counted for February.
Yeah,
like
that
counts.
counts.
I leave the
You're
state.
not
I do
sleeping
something
in your
a
own
little
bed.
different. Right.
Yeah.
But that's my goal. I might not always get it, but I'm trying to go to some places. But
I love that.
It's hard to go international. You can only maybe do one international one of that. So even just trying to see different cities in our country.
And is that like for fun, for work, with friends?
It's just for fun.
Yeah.
If with friends, as much as I can, or with family. I actually haven't traveled by myself, but that's on the list for this year. Mostly because my mom would kill me. Like she I've like just floated this idea by her, and she's like, just tell me, I'll go with you. And I was like, well, you have a job. Like, you can't just like pick up and leave, but I can do this by myself. And she's like, it's not safe. It's not good.
Do you want to go internationally? And she's freaking
I'm
out?
thinking a Canadian city.
Oh, you'll be fine.
So it's international, but it's like the best one. You're going to go somewhere that's like that's even nicer than most people you're going to meet in our country.
Oh,
so
for sure.
I feel like that would be good. There's lots of people around.
Yes.
So that's on my list for this year.
I love that. My friend went to Toronto last spring by herself and loved it. It was just like a long weekend, like Thursday to Monday, and she said that people were so helpful, so kind. It's super clean and just easy.
I think that's the Canadian cities are hard for me with geography. That's the one that's like kind of near Detroit.
Yeah, it's like right above Detroit.
I'm so glad
like
I was right
6
about
hours
that.
away.
Okay, so that's even like you keep Midwest nice, even like in the middle of the country.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, that I will consider it for sure.
Love it. Amazing. Well, take us to your story today. Like, is it a recent trip? Where are we? How old is Nikki?
So this was the first time that I traveled internationally.
Love it.
And so it was kind of alone, but not.
Yeah.
I was 24. I didn't travel abroad for at school at all. I didn't do the study abroad. Like I didn't have that wonderful experience.
Oh, you're not as cool as me?
Yeah, when I studied abroad, like in Rome.
I still talk about it.
Just bring it up all the time. It was just, I really found myself there. Like I didn't have one of those stories.
Eat, Pray, Love.
That's right. So I didn't have one of those, and it was a goal, like when I got a job, I want to find one international trip. And I really wanted it to be Italy, because my last name's DelZenero, so I'm half Italian. That's only half. My that side is the 100%. So they're actually from different parts in Italy, but I wanted to go over there, and so I went. Yes, by myself, but it was with a group called EFCB, which then stood for Education First College Break.
What?
And
And you're not in college?
No, it was for EFCB. The division of EF Tours that was called EFCB was for people aged 18 to 28.
Oh.
So college break, I don't know why they were like maybe initially trying to market to college kids, but then extended it to people in their 20s.
Yeah, maybe.
So, but that was the rule. You had to be between 18 and 28 to go on a tour with that division of the like
you had to
EF
be
tours.
fun, basically.
You had to be fun and young and like want to like maybe fuck people on this group, on this thing. Am I allowed to swear?
Of course.
Okay, cool. So,
so that
you're
allowed to swear.
Excellent. But so it was, but the funny thing was like I wasn't fucking people on the trip because well, no, because it was a lot of women. Like, it was like women who are just gonna be like who are 20 something and are like, I'm gonna do this fun thing by myself
for me,
and dudes are like, well, maybe there'll be some chicks there, like, and don't plan anything. You know, like can't make a restaurant reservation.
Totally.
They're definitely not going to book a trip.
And the boys that are booking this trip were like on the debate team.
Yes, that's exactly right. Precisely.
Yes.
So yeah, I went with this troop. It was a group of people. You just sign up, and I didn't know anybody. There were 38 of us on this particular trip.
That's a lot.
One tour guide, Dionisio. He was a very nice man.
He sounds hot, but you're saying he's nice.
No,
Those
that's
are
just
two
the
different
Italian
things.
name.
Yeah,
it's just like the Dionisio. Like
Dionisio.
He was a very nice, kind man. I don't think he hooked up with. I think that was a rule for him.
I would hope so.
And he was nice. He was not necessarily hot, but he was a nice dude. And so we did. It was 5 cities over like 12 days.
That's aggressive.
It was a lot,
Yeah.
and also, so I'm 24. I hadn't traveled internationally. I hadn't even traveled much, like on my own, besides visiting friends or whatever. And like, I found 3 girls right away who were all solo. It was me, Hannah, Amy, and Katie. I went to just like
the sister
Nikki,
of the traveling white girls.
Just white girls.
Oh my god!
I went to Hannah's wedding though, like a couple years ago. So
sweet.
I've kept in touch with at least Hannah, and I still see the others around. Other people on the trip like lived in other. They kind of were like, oh, those are the California girls. Like they stuck together.
Yeah.
Those are the Long Island girls and 2 guys. They stuck together.
Or
right, and like what flight they were flying in on together, because the tour group books your flights.
Yeah,
tells you where to go. So we flew into Naples, but then like immediately went to Sorrento, which is just like on the other side of that bay.
Yeah.
I guess they were like afraid. I think a lot of pickpockets are in Naples, and they were like, let's not put them there. Like,
but it is
kind of
sketchy a little bit.
Pickpockets all over Europe and like among tourists. So I was surprised that they made that call. But Sorrento was very cool.
Yeah.
And this was like my first. This is like my first embarrassing. What I'll say about this trip was like, I was 24. I was living with my parents at the time, and I was having no sex. Like I didn't have a social life. Like, and I was like, I'm gonna go to Italy and see what's up.
Yes,
like, it was a very. I was just.
You just have a bag filled with condoms.
I was thirsty, like for sure. Like I just was, and I was with like these 3 single girls, and me, and we were just kind of like. So the first, I think it was the second night, to be fair. I don't think I like slutted it up too early. Like I let everybody get to know me.
Yeah, you're
first.
like, I'm a good person, but like night 3,
I think
going home with the first. Oh, nice.
I think it was night 2. So we spent 2 nights in Sorrento, and it was the second night, and the whole group of like, when you get 38 people, everyone's going to kind of have different MOs. Like,
for sure.
Everybody won't necessarily go out to the bar. Like a lot of other people are like, I'm just here to see the sights.
Yeah.
But almost everybody went to this first bar.
Fun.
Because it was night 2, and we're like getting to know each other and figuring out who people are. And I stayed very late. Like I was one of the last people in this group because met this dude named Fabrizio. And like
sold.
Like
it's great.
Actually, this is a bit that I'm working on where it's like I exclusively sleep with boys named Sam, Alex, and Joe. So like Fabrizio is fucking like it's amazing.
He is exotic.
It's exotic.
I'm not sleeping with him.
Yeah. So he was like a physics student. I don't know how old he was. His English wasn't great. Like it wasn't like ideal. But we like could communicate. And so I was one of the last people at this first bar, and Fabrizio is like, we're going to go to this other bar down here, me and my 2 friends. You want to come? And I don't remember. So I'm 28. So this was 4 years ago. Also, I was drunk. I think I might have gone alone with these guys.
Smart.
Really
smart.
What was I doing? Like,
I don't know.
Maybe one of those girls went with me to this first one.
Yeah.
But I mean, we know I was stupid because of what happened after. Like maybe regardless of whether one person came with me to the first bar, it was still bad decisions ensued. So like we go to this other bar. There are syringe shots.
Oh, fun. I think I might have been to this bar when I studied abroad.
That's amazing. They were like neon colors.
Yes.
It was very, I feel like it was a Wednesday, but it was like really like discoteca, which is a Spanish word, but like it was just very like, it was just very clubby.
Yeah.
But a bar and no one was there. So we take these shots and then he's like, I can't actually tell you how it was asked, but he basically was like, I have a moped if you want to go for a ride.
Oh, Lizzie McGuire.
I fucking know. Who did I think I was?
This is a dream.
I thought I was going to find my doppelganger and become a pop star.
Yeah. That's how it works.
So I was like, this is I'm in Italy. I met a boy named Fabrizio. Let's get on his moped. Like, I was just like all for it.
Yeah.
And that was definitely when I left the girls, his other friends. It was just me and him. It's like, I don't know what I'm embarrassed about.
No, on
these
paper
decisions.
this sounds very romantic.
Well, it was, but
I'm a sucker for a moped.
Me. Like,
whatever, worth it.
So I go on his moped. It's like a red moped. We go like through a couple of like the neighborhoody areas and the little downtown. And he goes, well, I really want to take you. There's this cool road. It's like off the edge of a cliff.
Oh, Jesus.
I still was like, yeah, that sounds cool. So we go to where his garage is. And then I'm like, oh, you're rich. Like, that's like what's going on here. Cool. Like, it's like a multi-car garage. And he's talking about like, my father, that's his Mercedes or something. But the girls, they want me for my money. But like you were just going to ride with me on my shitty moped. And I was like, okay, there's a lot of like emotional trauma you've got going on here. But no, I'm not using you for your money. Like, let's like take a ride.
Yeah.
So we go in, like, I think it was his dad's car, and drove around, and he like showed me some really cool like overlooks. Didn't push me off any of them.
Very good. That's a good sign.
And we had sex in the back of his car.
Nice.
His dad's car, maybe.
On like the lookout of a romantic
Absolutely.
cliff. Oh my God.
Absolutely.
So cute.
It was great. It was bad. It was a bad choice, but it was great. And then he didn't kill me. He took me back to the hotel. It was like sunrise.
Nice.
And I think he was like, I want to take a picture of you and then goodbye forever. I was like, that's fine.
I'd be like, can you please not? It's 6 a.m. My mascara is down to my chin and
don't take a picture of me, but also like, can I get your last name? Because I'm going to try to hit you up on Facebook.
Yeah,
like
100%.
I'm like, we're going to get married now.
Yes.
Like, I was so naive. But no, he drops me off, says goodbye. I get into the hotel. It's like sunrise. It's like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Sleep for 2 hours. We get in the tour bus to go drive to maybe Rome was next.
Oh, so fun.
But I slept the entire car ride because I had only slept an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing about the car ride was that Hannah was my seatmate the whole time. And she was so drunk. She was puking. I slept right through it.
Oh, good. That's a perfect match.
I didn't hear it.
It didn't bother you.
Didn't smell.
Yeah.
I was literally like, oh, this is fine.
Yeah.
I just need some
People
sleep,
were
Hannah.
like, Nikki is so chill. Yeah.
She's not complaining at all. I was just like conked out.
Yeah.
Hannah had an awful trip. I had a great trip. And then, just the drive. And then we were up in Rome. So yeah, that was like the first crazy thing.
Yeah.
Crazy behavior of mine that I'm putting onto the internet. So
I love it. Proud of you.
Excellent.
You're not the first or the last woman that's going to do that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that comfort. So we did Rome, which was very cool, but saw most of it. Wasn't as much partying. That was more like seeing the sights.
Totally. I mean, you have to. There's so much to see. The
And I felt
Colosseum, the ruins,
I
the
felt
Vatican.
like I could have been there another 2 days
it's the
seeing
best.
stuff. Like
Yeah.
you're just like walking everywhere,
Yeah.
covering your shoulders.
Yeah.
You
Well.
you were just like taking it all in.
Yeah.
So that was cool. A couple days there. Then I think we stopped in Cinque Terre
Gorgeous.
on the way to Siena. And those were like just like spend an afternoon in a place, get back in the bus.
That's so much.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
And it felt like, but it was cool to see so much of.
For
like,
sure.
When I
Yeah.
wasn't sleeping in the bus, I felt like I saw so much of the countryside.
That's
and like
great. Yeah.
we would do stops along the way. So like stopped at a winery, then got back on, and so that
Yeah.
was a really cool thing. And then Florence was eventual, like maybe the next city after that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about
No
the
one's
geography.
fact-checking this, so you're fine.
I'm not positive, but that's like the order that I think it went in. And so by then, like we had all spent maybe like 9 days together, so we were all pretty tight. It was a cool, just like group of people who had gotten to know each other and felt like, oh, we're like friends now. And so that was one of the other nights that like Dionisio took us to a club.
Oh my.
And the thing is, I'm like only talking about the club nights, but like in reality, most of the nights we were just drinking wine and hanging out.
Yeah.
And like going to different restaurants and stuff. But the 2 nights that we were getting crazy, I was going to get crazy because I was in Italy.
Yeah. This is your time to shine.
I have to
You
try.
are going back home to your parents. You have to.
That's exactly right.
You have to live it up.
Live it up in Italy. So in Florence, we went to he takes us to this club on the last night, and it's pretty tame. Like honestly, there's not that many people there. Again, like when you're doing these, you're not necessarily like in a city on a weekend. Like it was probably like a Thursday, like the next week.
Yeah,
and it wasn't like very lit, but people from our group were all drinking and hanging out. And I remember like one of the Katie or Amy started talking to this guy, his friend. Sorry.
Katie, Amy, Lindsay, Sarah, Megan.
Just one of them.
Yeah.
Starts talking to one guy. His friend starts talking to me. This guy was Albanian. Because when you're up north in North Italy, like there's a lot of people coming through from other countries, like through there. So he was Albanian and Italian. He was a chef. His name was Fabian. Amazing. I think is how you say it. Yeah. I don't really. It wasn't Fabio.
It's Fabian there. It's Fabian here, which is horrible.
Yes, that's a little.
Yeah.
Fable. Like
Yeah.
So again, another like random exotic name to me. Like to my Joe.
So you're just like
Sam, Alex.
What?
Like I was like,
your name is Fabian. You're just like losing it.
It was a great time. So he at this point, like, I wasn't even that drunk, and he was like, we should go back to my place. And I said, sure. And we walked to an apartment complex. And when we got in, he was like, my mom's in that room.
Oh, God.
My roommate's there. My sister's there. Usually my other roommate's in here, but he's not here tonight, so, like, we can go in here.
Jesus.
And I was like, is this a hostel that you share with your family and your bros?
It's not normal for, like, people to live with their families for too long.
But it's not in some
You're
countries.
one to judge.
You're right. I'm 24 and living with my parents.
You're living with your parents.
But I feel like he was older, and I also just think that it's not as weird. Like I was the one that
to them it's not that weird. To us,
to me, I was like,
never ever bring someone home to my parents' house.
Bringing someone home is the big thing, right? Like that's why I was having sex in Italy, because I wasn't bringing boys back to my house, my parents' house.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not feeling great about that, and like the concept of a mom walking in isn't really all that familiar to me, because I didn't have sex till I was 21. So that's another thing. Like this is me like
yeah, this is like your prime.
This is my like wait, like what's going on?
Yeah.
But so like in high school, no one was ever walking. I wasn't hooking up with anybody.
Right.
Like there was no risk.
It was never a fear of yours.
There wasn't threat. Like so I'm like, I don't know what to do. When you're 16 and having that, I'm having it almost a decade later. I'm like, what if this mom walks in? Like freaking out. And so, but she didn't. It was quiet. It was like 1 a.m. And
you made quiet love?
Yeah, we had to be quiet. Because there's 6 people in this place.
Oh my God, yeah.
But so it's like 1 a.m. and the room starts shaking.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I don't know what the like structural integrity of this building is. Is it falling down? Why is it falling down? But then like the dresser's moving and stuff's starting to fall off the dresser.
It's like Jumanji.
This guy didn't. Yeah,
like when
like someone opened the game. Up. Someone opened the game, and like I'm like in trouble.
Yes.
So this guy also didn't speak great English. I was on a roll, and I was like, all of a sudden I was like, "Do you get earthquakes here?" And he was like, "What?"
You're like, Quaker to Eartha.
I was like, an earthquake? Is this an earthquake? And he's like, I don't know what you're saying. And then I was like, tell me what this is. Like, and he goes, terremoto? And I was like, I remember that one. This is an earthquake. Like, because I took Italian for like a year. And that was like one vocab word.
Earthquake.
I was like, earthquake. Terremoto. And I was like, oh, this is there's an earthquake in this place right now.
Jesus.
So he's like, oh, we're all okay. We're okay. And like, I just like was like, I gotta go though. Like, can we go? It stops, and I was like, I gotta leave.
This is my cue.
And so like that was the deal break. Like that was the end where I was like, okay, well, see ya. And he like, I think he called me a cab. And like it took me back to the hotel. It wasn't as late this time around, but like that's the only earthquake I've felt.
I don't think I've ever been in an earthquake, so that's pretty memorable.
It was great. And just the fact that like we were not communicating, like I was like, what's happening? Yeah. And then he was like totally okay with it. And he was like, oh, terremoto.
Oh my gosh.
Like I think they get them or in that part of the world.
But still, lots of places get them and buildings fall.
Totally.
And, like
especially buildings that like are fitting like 6 people into 3 rooms with your mom.
Like Puerto Rico is in shambles right now.
Oh man.
Right?
Yeah.
Earthquakes are a big deal.
Yeah, it was a big thing. I was afraid. I don't think it was much, but then I got back and I was like, everybody, did you feel the earthquake last night? And they're like, what are you talking about? I was like, 2 a.m. Let's search the news.
My underpants were around my ankles, and the knickknacks started falling off the dresser.
That's right. So yeah, that was my second wild experience. And then I think we did Venice. Nothing that crazy happened, except there was like a ton of water in the main square.
Yeah, dude, that's like that's there every day now. It's sinking.
It's just
very
sinking.
sad. Yeah,
but it was cool that we were there for when it was happening.
That's cool.
But not cool because like people live there and they're gonna have to leave. They'll be displaced. But yeah, that was like my 12 days going a little nuts, but survived.
Oh my god, I love that. That's so fun.
Thanks.
And what is it called again?
EFCB.
EFCB.
But I think it's just EF Tours now.
Oh, nice.
I think they were like college break for 26-year-olds.
That's too niche.
Doesn't really track.
And
they needed a rebrand. I think they did it. I haven't done that, but I mean like it was a really cool way to travel with a bunch of people about your age. I picked it in September because I was hoping that no college kids would like be able to go. It was like 22 to 28. It
seemed like there were a lot of college kids
like
on your
one
trip.
or two,
Yeah.
but mostly people were kind of like me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey guys, let's take off for midterm break and go to Italy.
Yeah,
like
right.
I just can't see college students doing.
I think all summer it's just college kids
yeah.
because they offer stuff year round.
Yeah.
All different parts of the world.
And you don't have to invest an entire semester, which I think a lot of people struggle with. Like, I don't want to be away from football season for 3 months.
Well, yeah. They're like, I want to tailgate. I can't miss tailgate season.
It's like the women in Texas that are trying to find their husbands at tailgates who don't want to leave a semester.
They're like, that's prime location. Honestly, it makes sense. You know, they didn't leave for that and they found their person.
Yeah.
I did leave and found my Lizzie McGuire
Fabrizio.
moment. Yeah, Fabrizio.
Yes.
That's right.
God bless him.
Yeah.
So fun. Well, what's coming up for you? Do you have any cool trips? Anything? Well, you had your trip for February. What's coming up for
Iowa.
March?
March is going to be Colorado snowboarding trip.
Amazing.
Winter Park. That'll be fun. I don't know what April is. May, I play a volleyball tournament in Minneapolis.
I love Minneapolis.
I'm kind of pumped to go back.
It's really cute.
We did a tournament there 3 years ago.
And
I'm
May is
excited
a really
to do
good
it.
time. Like the weather will be great.
Yep.
Everyone will be outside shaking off the snow and the
It better be. I mean, with Minnesota, I think it's a little touch and go. But
yeah.
End of May, I have high hopes.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Well, anything you want to plug? How can people find you?
My Instagram's Nikki DelZ, and eventually. I mean, I'm fun on there, but eventually I'm going to do more comedy stuff. So, like, if anybody, gives a shit, that's where you can find me. I love your open mic at Tapster.
Hell yeah.
On Tuesdays, and I'm going to probably head to the Nick's Beer Garden one after
right
this
after
on
this?
Wednesdays.
Oh, you're such a trooper.
Doing what I can. I feel like the thing to plug, quote unquote, would be like, if you haven't heard of Lakeview Pantry, that's my favorite place to volunteer.
Oh, so great.
It's up by the Sheridan Red Line stop.
Yeah.
It's everybody who works there is amazing. It's kind of like
I live right by there.
Yeah.
Okay, is that what the long line is? Because I literally just thought it was like a coffee shop. Wait, tell me what it is.
So it's a place where local grocery stores and like Starbuckses and like businesses that have that relationship with them can donate their stuff for the day that they didn't sell. So like Starbucks says you can only let this sit on the shelf for a day. Whatever's not sold gets sent over to them. And a lot of pantries are like, here, take away what we got.
Yeah.
Take it and go. But they have a really wide kind of like table with shelves behind, and it's a shopping experience.
Yeah.
So there are rules over like, okay, we got this many eggs, so a household of 2 can have 1 carton or whatever it is. Like there are some guidelines with the amounts, but for the most part, it's like you can be how you volunteer. One of the things I like to do is be a personal shopper. So like you walk people through the line and go get them what they want and need, and there's a lot of choice involved. So it makes people feel like they have like a decision to make in their
instead of just
shopping.
being handed a knapsack where it's just like refried beans and like shitty soup.
And you can get what you like, and we like kind of have conversations about what kind of things you can make, like with recipes and stuff like that. So that's a place that I love to volunteer. It's really flexible. Like they just have like a sign in, a login thing where you can reserve your time, and
that's like literally half a mile from my place. I'm definitely going to look that up.
Yeah, and I try to go there once a month, so that's like a place where I think is so easy. There's no commitment in terms of like you have to do this many hours. Like you can do 3 hours whenever you want. There's so many options. So that's my favorite place to go.
I love that.
Just thought I would spread the word.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's probably the best thing someone's ever plugged. I'm so proud of you. And then a new thing that I've been doing is just like travel hacks. If you have like anything under your belt that can help me, I'm a helpless traveler, or just all of our listeners.
I think that, I don't know if this would be, it's like the right time. Okay, so because I told the story about EFCB, I really did feel like if you, and I talked about like traveling alone and whether I wanted to or not, like that was a really good mom friendly, because she let me, like way to travel alone, but like kind of have people who are knowledgeable, like helping you through it, and a way to meet people who are your age. I felt like that was perfect for me in that moment. For what I wanted to do and kind of who I wanted to be around. Now, obviously, I want to try to like go do it on my own and meet people, but EF Tours is the one that's like that age range, but then they have other divisions of other age ranges.
Oh, cool.
So I feel like that's not a hack as much as like a look into it, and it might not be as lame as you think, or as like scary as you think.
For sure.
I think that's a really good way to try out a different place, to meet a lot of different people. It's a little bit less scary. And that place, that EF Tours in particular, has so many options for places to go. So
that's so fun. Well, I'm so glad that you had a positive experience.
Yeah, it was fun.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.